So let's go to another question. How's about, Colin, go ahead, and then we'll get to you, Jen.
This issue concerns the environment. It's going to have more of an impact in the neighboring 113th Assembly District represented by Kerry Warner, but it may have a big impact on all of Saratoga County. There currently is a proposal for a biochar facility that will burn human sewage waste. This will be the first time it will ever be done on a massive scale, and it's going to process about 20 to 25% of the human sewage waste from New York, plus human sewage waste from Massachusetts, Vermont, and Connecticut. This facility is to be built in Moreau, and the company that's going to lease the land, D.A. Collins, has a lot of power over the local politicians here. I mean, they've given a lot of money to Stefanik, a little to Kerry Warner, they probably given to Walsh.
But look at anything to me.
Well, my big concern is, I've heard that burning human sewage waste on a massive scale can cause PFOA contamination in the air. They've tried this on a smaller scale in Maine and Nebraska, and they found PFOA at high levels in the soil. Maine has been the only state in the country to ban this practice, but there's big concern because could this potentially end up, being spread on a lot of the farms here in Saratoga County and throughout this region? Plus, it goes further. I learned this, that a lot of the human sewage waste, it's going to come in on big hazardous trucks. All the trucks coming in from Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, and Western New York, they're not going to go down to Albany and up. A lot of them are going to get off in Amsterdam. They're going to go on 67 right through Ballston Spa, or they're going to go through the Rotary in Broad Alban and then go on 29 and take the sewage waste to Saratoga Springs and go up the interstate. So we could be dealing with hazardous waste trucks 24/7 going throughout many of the communities in this area. What I wanted to ask you is, would you support legislation similar to what has been passed in Maine that would ban the use of spreading biosolids on farms in New York?
The short answer?
Yeah.
Yes. Let me just fill you all in. PFOA is a carcinic chemical. You may have all heard about in Hoosick Falls, their water system was contaminated a few years ago. This is some serious carcinogenic, dangerous stuff. And again, the same issue that Sergei was talking about with the New York Health Act, same issue applies here. Corruption is an underlying problem. Politicians taking money from corporations that care about profits and don't care so much about the environment. So again, as Colin stated, this is, while it's a plant they're planning to do, or they're trying to put in Moreau, it involves sewage being trucked right through our communities here. And just going to talk a little bit about environmental issues. Has anybody here heard of the League of Conservation Voters? Okay. What the League of Conservation Voters does, they're a nonpartisan organization, although they do support candidates, I'll get into that. They give a scorecard, like a report card, on every elected official for their environmental record. My opponent, Ms. Walsh, been in office for 8 years, got a failing score. The League of Conservation Voters, based upon that, based upon my background as an environmental activist, has endorsed me. The Sierra Club, you all have heard of the Sierra Club, the leading environmental organization in America. The Atlantic chapter of the Sierra Club has endorsed me. So I will not be listening to corporate polluters. I'm not taking money for corporate polluters. I'll be standing up and fighting for legislation, like the legislation Colin was talking about, to prevent burning of toxic chemicals to pollute our environment. Okay, Jen, go ahead.
So I had a question because I've been hearing that they're talking about doing another raise for state assembly and state senate workers, and the position's already better paid than most jobs are. Would you oppose the proposed rate since it's already like $170-something thousand for a year's salary?
So this is for the actual assembly members. The pay rate on the base pay, I think, is 140 some odd thousand, but there are all kinds of things they get. And get this, it's supposed to be for a part-time job, right? That's good money if you can get it, right? So I'm going to tell you a couple things. First of all, my opponent, to her credit, is a professional. She's an attorney, well-spoken, well-educated. She maintains a private law practice. To her, serving the assembly is a part-time job. I, when I'm elected, will be a full-time assembly member. Now, the session begins in January and ends in June. Sometimes they keep it a little late. That's when the assembly's in session. But the rest of the year, there's a lot of work to be done. That work is planning, and that work is listening to constituents and planning for the following session. So, is that a lot of money? It's a lot of money. Is it too much money? Yes. Do assembly members need to make more than that 140 base pay plus all the other stuff they get? Do assembly members need a raise?
No.
No. So that's kind of crazy stuff. Just to let you know my background, just a little bit. My background, by the way, I'm a retired software developer having worked for the state education department. I'm receiving a pension. When I'm elected, I'll have to give up my pension of about $50-some-odd thousand a year. So it won't be like an extra $140,000 in my pocket. But yes, that's too much money, and I think the assembly members should get less than that. I'm planning to give away some of that money too. Yeah, I'm glad we all care about average people and not about the assembly members, even though I might be one of them, and getting rich off the taxpayers' dime. Okay, anybody else here got a question?
Can we talk about the climate, since we have this big hurricanes, and can you just tell us how you feel about what's happening?
You mean there are hurricanes happening?
Joe Biden's making them happen.
Okay, so what we've got here are two issues. One is climate change, and it's a massive issue, but there's another issue that I'll just briefly talk about, and that's misinformation. That's outright absurd and obscene lies. You see the lies they're saying, and it's from one particular political party that I think was it Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was one of the biggest liars, who came up with this absurdity. But there's a party that welcomes lying, like saying that the Haitian immigrants, who by the way are illegal in Springfield, Ohio, that they're stealing pets and eating them. Okay? It's an absurd, obscene lie, and these lies really hurt people. Okay? This is FEMA, the Emergency Management Agency, is doing a lot of very difficult work to help the people who are suffering from these hurricanes. And I think today we saw there was over a dozen people just died. It was just in the news. I think well over 100 people had died from Hurricane Helene, and people had tremendous devastation. So, and in Springfield, Ohio, there are people afraid to walk out their doors. Schools are being closed. There are bomb threats. So lying has consequences. We know my opponent supports someone who lied about the election he lost and claims he won it, and still claims it. So lying is a big problem. Honesty, I can't even believe that I have to say this, but I believe in honesty. Could you believe you actually have to make honesty an issue because there's massive lying? So that's enough about